Maurice, Patton, and Chris Yao as we take a look at week 1 of high school football here in the Main Street Maury coverage area. Starting out with a doozy, Chris, as Independence takes on 3-time defending Class 6A state titleist Oakland over at Oakland, you know, with the big old Air Jordan logo and everything. Kevin Creasy has that program rolling, and you know, this is the first game in a really challenging first half of the season schedule for second-year coach Scott Stidham and the Eagles.
And he's going to have to do it without starting quarterback from last year, Cody Bagash, as he's transferred out. So another first-year quarterback for Scott Stidham and the Eagles. Obviously, a long-time program of running that Scott Blade run and shoot type offense. They really opened it up. So I'll be curious to see how the Independence players, both offensively and defensively, have adjusted to Scott Stidham and his coaching style with a full year and an offseason behind them, which they didn't quite get all of last year. So I'm really curious to see how this is going to play out. But this isn't a place you want to be testing out new stuff, but it will be a litmus test.
It will definitely be a litmus test for, you know, first-year starter Luke McNeely at quarterback. And again, like you said, Independence breaking in a new quarterback yet again. They've not really been able to, you know, get a whole lot of carryover at that position here over the last 2 or 3 years, even going back to the conclusion of Scott Blade's career. So it's been a little tough there. And in that offense, it all starts with the quarterback. So between that and it being Oakland, could be a tough night for the Eagles.
Yeah, I think so.
One team that's not having questions at quarterback is the Loretto Mustangs.
No, they returned senior Carter Daniel, and boy, did he have a year last year. Watching him was an absolute pleasure.
He can sling it, and he's got guys to sling it too. Clint Seymour was upwards of 1,100 yards last year, I think, and Jack Welch, nice as number 2s go. He's not bad, and
at the 2A level, having a number 2 is
well. And here's the thing: not only do they have a number 2, but they got a number 3.
And it's
Corbin Reynolds, who you are probably more familiar with on the basketball floor. When he was healthy last year, he really made them wide open in the passing game, and this may be a tough place for Collinwood.
Yeah. They'll go to Collinwood this week, who finished 2-8 last year. Loretto finished 4-7, did make the playoffs, and
that other region was really tough.
It was strong. Obviously, the state runner-up came out of that region, but Mustangs looking to vastly improve off a 4-7 finish last year.
They are looking to vastly improve in a vastly improved region, by the way, and we'll talk more about that in the weeks to come. Debuting a new coach for the 3rd straight year are the Columbia Central Lions, as Tredarius Goff will lead that team onto the field at Lindsey Nelson Stadium against a Marshall County team that went 10-2 last year, but has struggled each of the last 2 years against Columbia Central.
Yeah, Columbia Central matches up really well with Marshall County. They've got a lot of athletes, and they're usually pretty big. Now, Marshall County has had the size advantage over the last couple of years. I've been at both of those games, by the way. And but after watching Columbia Central this past week, I feel like they're really good up front, led by Jaravius Hall on the defensive side, which is just
he's so good,
an absolute monster who is going to probably contend for his cousin Shaq Mason's legacy on both offensive and defensive lines for the Lions. I think that this is going to be one of the better games of the week.
Yeah. Another game that's going to be sneaky good, I think. Columbia Academy opens at home against Middle Tennessee Christian. The Cougars coming in here after going 9-3 last year. They've got a kid who you probably hadn't heard of unless you're a UT fan. 6'7", 280-pound Jesse Perry is a two-way lineman from Middle Tennessee Christian who is committed to the Volunteers.
Man, that's a big kid, and like you said, it's a lineman, so you probably don't really hear their names in the paper very often.
And you don't see 6'7", 280 in Division IIA a whole lot.
No, you don't. But if Columbia Academy is going to do it, they've got a couple big kids of their own. Not quite that big.
Not quite that big, but they've got bigger than average at the tackle positions with one is a transfer in from California, senior Joshua Byers, and 6'4", 280. So
Pretty good.
And is it Daniel Sapicki?
Daniel Sapicki.
Who is bigger.
Yeah, so it should be
And he's a
interesting.
sophomore.
And they'll be leading the way for Monte Baldwin, who enters his third year sophomore season for the Bulldogs.
No,
right? Didn't he play as an eighth grader?
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, he may have played, but he's gone for 1,000 yards both as a freshman and a sophomore.
Yeah. So dude is a workhorse for the Bulldogs, and they got to have him.
They got to have him. And in their preseason wrap-up, jamboree scrimmage, I don't know, but they showed some sparks of being pretty diverse offensively. Connor Rawson threw it around pretty well. Monte Baldwin ran it pretty well, and they've got some guys who can go get it as well. So this could be a sneaky good matchup right here. Mount Pleasant going down to Wayne County. The Tigers 9-2 last year. Wayne County finished up 6-5. Lost a bunch of folks. Mount Pleasant, as you mentioned, Decatur County Riverside out of Region 6-2A going to the state finals last year. Mount Pleasant played them the closest in the postseason of anybody, falling to them 18-13. And I think the Tigers are going to take that personally.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a team that's led by a bunch of veteran guys. Quarterback Nick Brown. You've got Darian Meza, who we have seen do it in all phases of the game, offense, defense, and special teams, as well as Kevin Cooper, who's should be a hotter prospect than he is in the defensive backfield. Is a really good defensive backfield player. And of course, when you look at that that backfield with Jaden McClure, Jakari McClure, they've got an absolute dynamic offense everywhere you turn.
For Class 2A, they are loaded on the offensive side of the ball, and I think they've got a chip on their shoulder. And again,
not a good place for Wayne County.
I don't think it is. Summertown finally getting to play some football after everything that they've gone through over the off season. Yeah, it has been a lot.
Not just the off season, but into last season.
Yeah. So, really hoping that Dan Winfrey can go in there and kind of settle things down, from the top down. Most recently was offensive coordinator down across the border at Florence, working with Will Hester, but he comes in to take over a program that has had, 3 head coaches in the last year.
Yeah.
Because Rick Rice took over for Dakota Cruz, coached 2 games, left. Jason Busby stepped in on an interim basis. Rick Rice came back first of the year, left about a month ago.
Yeah.
So
it's a lot of
it's been tough
turnover
for those kids. Yeah. And now they get to go out and play a really emotional game as they go down 43 to take on the Lawrence County Wildcats.
And as we saw, Lawrence County is huge. So
they are huge, and they've got a couple of really good running backs in Tay Everly and Isaiah Bentley. And I think this is another team that is going to take the disappointment of missing the playoffs last year in 4A, in a really loaded 4A region. And I think they're going to spin that into something good this time around in 5A. Wrapping up this week's schedule. Do they call it the Battle of the Hill?
Battle for the Hill.
Battle for the Hill. Summit goes to Spring Hill. Summit, coming off of a 3-7 finish last year, missed the playoffs for the first time in 6 years. we've talked a lot about chips on shoulders and scores to settle and that kind of thing. And I think the Spartans are firmly in that camp. So
they're ready to bounce back for sure.
yeah.
Spring Hill is going to have a tough time breaking that 10-game losing streak they're currently on. 11-game losing streak.
Sorry. I mean, I don't mean to pile on, but we do want to be accurate. So yeah, going to be a tough outing at home for Spring Hill, which will be on a different sideline this year, by the way.
Yeah, we had that story on Mornings on Main Street where we saw the home side flipped to what used to be the visiting side.
I guess that's the
bleachers.
west side of
Okay.
Buford Gladney Stadium, right?
And new bleachers have been installed, ADA compliant and everything. So it's going to be really cool.
It is going to be
watch.
cool.
And so if for nothing else, that's a good reason to go.
Absolutely.
It was just a few drinks. I'm good. I thought it was good.
After every game, we always have a few. It's no big deal. It was no big deal.
Hey, I can hold my liquor. I thought I could hold my liquor.
Since 1975, Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic has treated the orthopedic needs of Middle Tennessee residents. The trained physicians provide surgical options and minimally invasive options to treat all orthopedic needs. The walk-in clinic, OrthoQuick, helps you bypass the ER while treating sports injuries and acute needs Monday through Saturday. Visit MTBJ online at mtbj.net or on social media at Mid-Tennessee Bone Joint Clinic.
Give some picks. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's start with Oakland and Independence.
All right. I'm going to go with Oakland. Surprise, surprise.
I think that's a solid pick. I think I will go with Oakland as well.
That's probably a good point.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a safe call. If Independence, I'm not going to be upset if Independence.
No, I mean, if
win,
Independence
it's
proves me
huge.
wrong, then I'm perfectly fine with it. I'll just have to take that one on the chin. Loretto
Absolutely.
at Collinwood. Again, I'm going with the Mustangs.
Yeah, just based off of everything we've seen, it's Loretto.
I don't know if Columbia Central can sustain the emotion for 48 minutes or not, but I'm picking them. I'm picking them to get the Tredarius Golf era off to a flying start. I'm rolling with the Lions on this one.
I'm going to go with Columbia Central as well. One, I think they're more skilled than they have been. I think they have more emotion, and I think that Lindsey Nelson Stadium is going to be rocking.
No.
So I'm with you. I got the Lions.
Columbia Academy scored 37 points in 2 periods against Spring Hill. I don't know what exactly that means because it's a scrimmage. It's preseason. I don't know how much you can put in that. But I do think that Columbia Academy has enough offensive weapons that they can win this game against Middle Tennessee Christian.
I'm going to take the Cougars here. I think it's a coin toss, but I'm going to go with the team that had a little more success and maybe knows how to close games out.
I wouldn't argue with that. Mount Pleasant, Wayne County. Sooner or later, Wayne County is going to kick a ball and they're going to chase it the other way. Between Mesa and Cooper, they make you pay in special teams. And I think that could be the difference in this one.
Yeah.
A couple of big plays can break this one open. I've got the Tigers.
I don't think there's any question here. It's Mount Pleasant. So I'll be shocked if it's not.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
I'll also be shocked if it's not Lawrence County.
Absolutely.
And I think Summit takes care of business at Spring Hill.
I would agree with you. Absolutely. So one game. We'll see.
We'll see how the Middle Tennessee Christian and Columbia Academy game comes out. We'll see how some of these other games come out as well. And we will see you next week.